Hello everybody, welcome to a new coding activity with Benifab. My name is Thomas. Today we'll learn how to implement a basic shooting functionality in our games in Scratch. So first of all, we won't use the cat, so you can create a new project in Scratch and delete the cat. And what we'll do is a basic spacecraft shooter, and we'll see how to use clone to create projectiles. So let's create a little background. So let's try with a space background, starry sky, and let's go and search for a ship. Of course, you can use your own asset, your own picture image. You can draw them, you can download them from the internet. So let's go and put my spaceship at 0, 0 and scale it down a little bit, maybe a quarter of what it is right now. It's a little bit small, so let's try a third. Yeah, perfect. So what we'll want to do is implement a simple game where I have a space rock asteroid coming from all sides, and I can rotate around with my mouse. And when I press space, I want to shoot a projectile on the rocks in order to destroy them. So for the movement of the player, we'll do something real simple. When I click on the green flag, forever I will point in the direction of my mouse pointer. So nothing too complicated. Notice that right now the side is facing us. That is because the right side of the sprite is always considered to be the front. So what I could do is simply turn this one, or I could simply also turn it 90 degrees like that, and we'll have the spaceship. So two options. I'll keep this one because if I ever want to do the animation, I could simply do something like that, but instead of changing the direction, let's go and change to the next costume, and we'll go every 0 point, and we can do calculation to do, let's say I want 1 frame 24 frames per second. So every second I want 24 frames, so I'll wait 1 divided by 24. So, and there you have the little animation. Nothing too shabby. Let's delete the one without the fire in the back. So we'll create a cleaner animation. Here we are. We have the movement and the little animation down. So let's see and search something we could shoot. Let's see and try the lightning. I will shoot some lightning. And for this one, since it's only one sprite, I will change the size like that. And I can even adjust the size of the sprite instead of doing it with the size here. So let's make it a little bit smaller. That seemed good for the shooting, and I will place the hand of my projectile onto the marker here. So when I give a position to my, when I give a position to my projectile, I will give the end part of it. So let's call it projectile, and this one rocket ship. It's a pretty good name for what it is. So now, how can I shoot my rocket ship? So shooting will basically be creating a clone of the projectile, and the projectile will do all the work to find where to go, how to move, etc., etc. So let's just do something. If I press space, I will create a clone, and if I put it right there, let's go and try that. So I press space, and there's a bunch of clone of it that is just created here. meaning that we need to tell the projectile to do something when it starts as a clone. So in order to avoid confusion, the first projectile, the model, if you want, the original one, will hide it. And we'll start by simply saying to my projectile to, when I start as a clone, let's go to my spaceship, rocket ship, and let's show yourself. If we try that, I press space, I create one, and there's a bunch that is created here. So ideally, I would like for my projectile to be behind my spaceship. So what I could do is go to the back layer. So now we have the projectile there, but I still need it to move a little bit. So what I'll do, I will say, when you start, repeat until you are touching the edge. We will move 10 step. Let's try that. Space. There we go. We have a bunch of laser. So always in the same direction. We'll fix that. And also I can shoot infinitely. So there's a bunch of them there. And at some point I will stop because they will be too much arrows. So you see right there, I create a little lag. And I don't have any more to shoot because they're all there. So there's a maximum of 300 clones at the same time in Scratch. If I press stop, all my clones are deleted. So first of all, in order to fix that, I will simply delete my clone after I touch the edge. So I will repeat the move, and after that, when I'm done moving, I will simply delete the clone. There we go. Can even make a little weight if I wanted to go a little bit further, so 0.2, let's say, and it will go a little bit further before it moves, but it created a weird effect, so I will simply delete that. Okay, so as soon as my clone touch there, it should disappear. Perfect. Now let's fix the direction of the projectile so it shoots in the same direction that my rocket ship is pointing. And there's a very, very useful block for that, and it's this one. So you see right now it says backdrop number of the stage. That will give me 2 because my backdrop is the backdrop number 2. If I delete this one and I go back here, the same will give me 1. So this is a very useful block to get information about other object in your game. So you see, I have a bunch there. I can have the background name, the volume, and access to my variable, which is a variable there. I can delete it. So if I go and select the rocket ship, I see I have access to a bunch of information about the rocket ship, its position, X, Y, and its direction, which is what I want. And now let's go and say point in direction, same as rocket ship. If I try that, notice that I shoot at a right angle because I didn't turn my ship here. I just move it 90 degree here. So I'll have to do the same thing with my projectile. So go to direction plus 90. And now it should shoot, oh, minus 90 apparently. So minus 90. So that way I will shoot in the same direction of my ship. So I have my shooting mechanic. Maybe I want a little delay between the shot, which is maybe a good idea in order for the player not to be able to spam everything with the shoot. So let's do a little counter for the shot. We'll use the stopwatch. Where is the stopwatch? Username, reset the timer. There we go. So the timer, what we'll do is we'll reset the timer at the beginning here, and we'll check if the timer is more than, it's called, we could put a hard number here, but we can also fire rate. So fire rate will tell me how many projectile I want to shoot per second. So if it's at 1, it will shoot 1 per second. And if it's at, let's say, 10, it will shoot 10 per second. And in order to do that, I will make sure that my timer is more than 1 for 1 second divided by my fire rate. So let's say I have a fire rate of 1. So I want my timer to be bigger than 1 divided by 1, 1. If I have a fire rate of 2, I want my timer to be bigger than 1 divided by 2, so 0.5. So we'll shoot every 0.5 seconds. If I want 4, let's not go into complicated fraction, but if I do 4, I want 1 divided by 4, so 0.25 seconds. So we'll shoot every 0.25 seconds, so every 4 times per second. So in order to use that now, we'll check if I press space and if my timer is bigger than 1 divided by the fire rate. And in order for that to work, I will need to reset the timer every time I shoot something. So reset at the beginning, wait until it's time to shoot, and then reset the timer, wait for it to be able to shoot again, depending on the fire rate. So if I'm go there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 per second. If I go there at 9, I can see that I shoot a lot faster. And if I go there at 1, I see that I can just shoot 1 per second. And I can even show the timer, and it reset every time there. Perfect. So this is the code to shoot. And now let's do a little code to have something to shoot at. So we'll simply go here, and I'll go get a rock. And let's play with the size later. So we'll use also clone for my rock. So I'll do when I start as a clone, and I'll have a little loop here to create clone every so often. So let's create a clone of myself and we'll choose a random number between 0.5 and 2 seconds. So we should have a good amount of rock. When I start as a clone, so what I want to do, and I can hide the fire rate because we can just show it when we want to adjust it. So when I start as a clone, I want to, first of all, choose one of the side to start at, and then be randomly in this side. So in order to do that, I'll create a little variable just for the sprite. So this one will be specific for each rock since it's for this sprite only. I'll call it side, and I'll set the side for each rock when it starts between 1 and 4. So what this will do right now, nothing, because I just choose a number between 1 and 4. Now what I need to do is check this number and in a series of if else. So if my side is 1, else if it's 2, else if it's 3, and we can just use last else because it's 1, 2, or 3. And if it's not either of neither of the three, it will be either of the three. It will be 4 in the last else. So now what do? We'll just set the position inside there. So side 1, let's start with the top. So the top is Y180, and we can choose a random number between -240 and 240, which is the size of my screen, 480 pixel with 0 in the middle. So anywhere between, oops, -240 and 240. Let's say that 2 will be the side, 3 will be the bottom. So we do the exact same thing with -180. And now we do the same thing with the side. So 2 would be the right side, x240. And anywhere from -180 to 180 for the y. And we do the same thing, but on the other side. So let's try and see if it works. So we'll hide it, and then we'll show it when we create a clone. So I should have a bunch of rock appearing on different side of my. Perfect. So now let's do a little random in the size. So let's set the size to anywhere between, let's say, 50 and 100. That's the biggest I want the rock to be. Let's make them point toward the player. And since the player doesn't move, we'll just point there and then move until we touch either the player or the projectile. So repeat until we touch either the rocket ship or the projectile, and we want to move, and we could play with the speed of it, but let's say 6 for now. So let's check if that worked. Whoa, that's a little bit fast. So we'll slow it down. Let's say 3. There we go. It's stop. Okay, but I don't want them to just stop. I want them to be destroyed. So here I move, and then I stop. There's 2 possibilities. Either I touch the rocket ship or I touch the projectile. So let's check which one it is. So if I'm touching the rocket ship, it's game over, so we'll stop the game. And if I'm touching the projectile, so basically just to be sure, put it, but it's kind of redundant. I could simply do the else here. So let's do it just the else. I will delete myself as a clone, and let's put a little score just for the fun of it, and add 1 to score every time I destroy a meteorite. Do I have a sound pop? Let's do the pop 2 when I destroy something. So sound, play, pop. There we go. So now we should be able to destroy the asteroid, and we should be able also to end the game if I get hit by a rock. So let's try that. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. The only thing right now is that my projectile also continue, and if I got it, the game stop. So the only thing is my projectile also continue until it's touching the edge. I could do or also here, or touching the rock. So one or the other will make it destroy. Now we'll have another problem. It doesn't seem to work, or reverse, my shoot doesn't work anymore. It's because one will disappear before the other have time to check it. So either my projectile deletes itself before the rock has time to check if it should delete itself too. So what we'll do, we'll simply give a little 0.001 second before we delete the rock, and do the same thing here, 0.001, just to make sure that they have time to realize they touch each other. Let's try that again. Oh, I will just hide my projectile. There we go. And just to make sure that doesn't happen again, I could just do when I click there, just hide, and give the same thing to the rock here. So there we go. We have the little game that should work perfectly, and you've seen how to use the cloning mechanic to do shooting in your game. So one of the challenge and what we'll do next week would be if instead of rocks, I got some spaceship. So let's duplicate that, and in costume instead of rock, let's go and create another ship. It's the robot. Okay, let's get the evil robot. So let's say we would like to have a robot like that and have it, we'll just shrink the size a little bit, and have it shoot itself. So let's say I want the exact same thing, but I want the robot to be able to shoot me. How would I do that? Because I won't be able to go and do point in the same direction of rocket ship and go to rocket ship, because they're different clone of the robot. So that will be the challenge for next week. How do you make different clone of the same object shoot something? So thank you very much. If you like the video, like and subscribe, and don't hesitate to participate live to the session every Thursday, 3 p.m. Thank you very much, and goodbye.